changing your life one story at a time. This is the Chicken Soup for the Soul podcast with Editor-in-Chief Amy Newmark.
Hey, it's Amy Newmark with your daily dose of Chicken Soup for the Soul inspiration to make you simply happy. It's Thoughtful Thursday, and I want to talk about a really beautiful way to look at the connection between mothers and children. This comes from a story by country music star Jody Messina. She and I co-authored a book in 2015 called Chicken Soup for the Soul, Thanks to My Mom. And Jody had some really powerful and thoughtful things to say about motherhood. I enjoyed working with her so much. One of her stories was called The String That Binds Our Hearts. And Jody opens the story on her first day of kindergarten. She and her mother had pulled up in front of the school and parked along the curb behind the big yellow buses. And no matter how her mom tried to calm her nerves, it wasn't working. Jody didn't want to get out of the car and go inside that scary building and spend all day without her mother. Jody cried, and her mother told her a story. She said, "You can go into school because I will be with you." Jody asked how that was possible, and her mother said, "There is this string that goes around my heart and ties around yours. No matter where you go or what you do, the string will always be there connecting us." That worked, and Jody made it inside for her first day of school. She says those magical words got her through many a challenge. And she says that her mother's wisdom and advice have always helped her through the many challenges she has faced. Jody's mother was always a great role model for her. Her parents divorced when she was about 5, so for much of her childhood, Jody watched her mother raise 3 kids, run their home, and work full-time too. Her mother never stopped growing too. She was over 40 when she went back to school to get her psychology degree. Her mom was a huge supporter of her career too. When Jody began singing, her mother drove her to shows, staying up well past 1, only to get up for work before 6 the next morning. When Jody graduated from high school in Massachusetts, she decided that she wanted to go for it, move to Nashville, and pursue her dream of a country music career. Her mother handed her some money she had saved and was very supportive, even though we all know that sending your 18-year-old daughter off to Nashville from Massachusetts is a very painful thing for a mother to do. But she was brave. And when Jody said that it was going to be hard for her too, to be so far away from her mother, she reminded her of that magical string story. Remember, there is a string that goes between your heart and mine. I am always with you, even when you think you're far away. Our hearts are joined together, always. Fast forward 6 years, and Jody's mother and sister moved to Nashville to be with her. Jody had signed a record deal and was touring extensively. She was rarely home, and she worried about her mother, who was getting older, and would be back in Nashville on her own while Jody toured. They were in the kitchen talking one day, and Jody said, "Mom, what if something happens to you while I'm on the road?" Her mother calmly responded, "If that happens, stay out there and do your thing." "What?" Jody exclaimed, but her mother smiled and said, "That little string that goes between your heart and mine can't be broken by anything, by distance, time, or even death. I will always be with you." Jody says that the string story resurfaced whenever she needed it. When her mom had heart surgery in 2013, she had a lot of complications, and there were times that she would be unconscious for days or even weeks. When she was awake, she was lost and confused. This went on for months, and Jody says that one of the things that kept her going during that time, that kept her from losing it completely, was that story about the string. When Jody told this story a couple of years ago for our book, she said that her sons were not quite old enough for the string story. They were 2 and 5 at the time, but she planned to tell them soon. She wrote, "They'll know that the string that binds my heart to their grandmother's also binds theirs to mine. I hope it will mean as much to them as it does to me. That string connects us. It can't be broken by anything, not distance, not time away, not even death. The string has made me stronger. I will pass it on with love to give my sons the strength to make it through whatever life brings their way, too. So I think that's a very powerful story and a great comfort for kids and mothers everywhere. Whether you think of that magical string as your psyche or your genes or some spiritual connection, it's a great reminder that mothers and children do have that permanent connection. And even when a mother is gone, the child can still feel that connection and the support that it represents. It's a beautiful story, and if you want to read it for yourself, please get yourself a copy of Chicken Soup for the Soul, Thanks to My Mom, co-authored by Jody Messina and me. Thanks for listening today. Please come back tomorrow and meet my friend Kristen Cusato, who is an expert on Alzheimer's and dementia. We're going to talk about the best ways to communicate with an elderly person, whether it's your grandparent, your parent, or your spouse. She has some surprising tips for us that will change the way you handle those conversations.